welcome to your whole school assembly. Today I'm going to be talking to you some more about reading, and specifically I'm going to share with you the importance of diversity in the literature that we read. Because today's assembly is about diversity, it very clearly supports the British value of mutual respect for and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, and for those without faith. As a school, we like to consider other people's beliefs through our religious quotes linked to the whole school assembly. This week, I have chosen a quote from the humanist faith. It says, "The only possible basis for a sound morality is mutual tolerance and respect. Tolerance of one another's customs and opinions, respect of one another's rights and feelings, awareness of one another's needs." This outlook makes a link between diversity and morality, which means being able to choose between what's right and wrong. So clearly, diversity is an important topic to be reading about. Before I talk some more about the importance of diversity in the literature that we read, I'd like to remind you of what we have already learned about how powerful reading can be. We've seen this image before and established that basically, if you read more, you will gain knowledge, you will gain vocabulary, and you'll gain a deeper understanding of the world. It's this kind of knowledge that will help you to develop more confidence in your voice and mean that you get heard more by the people around you. This kind of confidence will ultimately increase your self-belief and bring greater personal success in your future. So it's really clear that reading is power. So, when thinking about the diversity in what we read, it's important that we all have a strong understanding of what we mean by diversity. In the first instance, it always means to include and accept differences. But what can those differences be based on? Often, when talking about diversity, people will focus on race, but diversity is far more than skin deep. So what I'd like you to do is take 30 seconds now to turn and talk to your partner about what else you think diversity could include. What other differences do we need to read about? Tutors, please pause the video and allow 30 seconds of discussion time. Okay, here's my list of other differences that I believe exist and need to be included in our discussions around diversity. Hopefully you identified some of these with your class. Now that we're clear on what we mean by diversity, we can start to consider why diversity in the literature that we read is important right now. To think about this question, I'd first like you to consider how diverse our planet is. There's approximately 7.8 billion people living on this planet. That's a huge range of people that need to live alongside each other in harmony, and each of those people deserve to be celebrated for their individuality. 2020 has been a year of unbelievable events, meaning the world has needed to unite and support one another. But some of the events that happened in 2020 involved acts of discrimination, and they put an unflattering light on the way our so-called modern society still treats certain people unfairly, rather than accepting their diversity. It's clear to see that some changes still need to be made to achieve a truly equal world for everyone. And I believe that books have the power to help us with this. So let's take a look at how and why literature could help. Diversity in literature can be achieved through representation of the diverse people that are in our world. To make diverse literature, writers need to carefully consider who is telling the stories and who the stories are about, so that their stories include a range of perspectives. For example, we're starting to see more and more autistic characters in books, physically challenged characters, deaf or blind characters, and characters with mental health issues. Gay, lesbian, bi, trans and asexual characters are also starting to appear in books. And most importantly, they're not just as the token gay best friend. That's the other key. Diversity in books means writing about real people as full characters, not minor characters only appearing for 2 pages. True diversity in literature means representing real struggles and challenges through authentic, complex characters, not simple stereotypes. so that the books are truly representative of the huge range of people that are in our world. So, diversity in literature means representing people from all walks of life. But why is it so important? Well, reading about people who you can relate to helps you with your own identity and your self-belief. It supports you to understand how you fit into society. That's particularly important for young people because you need to see yourselves represented in order to develop a healthy self-image and to feel comfortable with who you are. Also, without learning about other people, we cannot begin to understand the issues that people from underrepresented backgrounds might face. And if we don't understand the problem, we cannot solve it. Everybody develops their ideas about people who are not the same as them based on what they read. So it's really important that what we read supports us with an accurate and fair understanding of diverse individuals. By including diverse characters, books can become truly representative of life in the real world. Reading about the way the world around us really is, with its diverse tapestry of people, backgrounds, ideas, helps us better deal with our own reality. And finally, if the world of literature is filled with the same type of stories, the same types of characters, readers begin to believe that those stories are the norm, and people would go away with a very distorted view of the world. To help you appreciate the power that diversity in literature has, I have asked some students at APA to tell me about a diverse character that they have read about and that has helped them learn more about themselves and other people.
Eden, which character and which book have you chosen?
I have chosen Hermia from the Midsummer Night's Dream.
And how does Hermia represent a diverse voice?
Hermia represents a diverse voice because she goes against her father's words at a risk of death because women in Shakespearean times didn't have equal rights.
And what has Hermia taught you?
Hermia has taught me to appreciate the voice that I have and that women are equal to all genders.
Today I'm going to be talking about the main character from the book Life of Pi, Pi himself. He's an Indian boy, but he has quite a unique outlook on life. He wants to embrace all of the religions, and I think his story has taught me a lot about tolerance and acceptance. He's let me understand all other religions and how they view life, and I think it's made me a better person.
Who is your character and what book are they from?
Andre from the Midnight Zoo.
Lovely. And how does Andre represent a diverse voice?
He represents a diverse voice because he was an immigrant who had to go to a town which was completely different to what he was used to, and he lost his parents due to war, so he didn't have them to rely on.
Lovely. And what do you think you learned from Andre?
I learned from Andre that things can be tough, but you just have to keep on trying and things will turn out better.
So I'm going to talk about crooks, about diversity from the book of Mice and Men. I most want to talk about how to appreciate how it represents his anger and what it can show me further in life. It also helps me acknowledge his treatment and how he was treated back then. It gives me a further look of like how to appreciate when people is angry and I ask them, why are you angry? It also teaches me that in further in life I could show more empathy towards someone if they were to be angry.
I read a book about a refugee boy called Alan. He's unique because he's alone in the world at a young age and is then in foster care. Reading his story taught me to appreciate everyone has their own challenges and we should not judge anyone before we knew their full story.
I actually read graphic novels, but I still learn things from the characters, even though the voices of the characters are often diverse because they are moral. I find that it can teach me about myself, that actions make me think about my own, and how my own behaviour will affect my future.
What character would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about Kareem from The Buddha of Suburbia.
And how does he represent a diverse voice?
He is the son of an Indian immigrant and an English woman in the suburbs of London.
And what did reading about him teach you about yourself or about other people?
Reading about Kareem made me feel visible, and because his experiences growing up being half English and half Indian, the way that he couldn't find himself, or the way he didn't know if he was more white or more, you know, Indian. Like, it resonates with me because I grew up in London after being born in Kazakhstan. That makes me feel kind of conflicted in myself, whether I'm one or the other. So I felt very validating reading that before.
An important book that I read was Wonder, with a character who had a facial deformity, same as Ozzy, and it just taught me that not everybody is the same. Everybody has their own differences and their personal situations that they can't control, and you just have to accept people because it will make them feel like they count.
Thank you to those students for their insights. I hope it has reminded some of you about the impact that reading of diverse literature has already had on you. And I hope that you can all see how reading about a diverse range of characters' lives and ideas will help you to achieve one of our school's values: for you all to have a sense of self-awareness combined with the integrity to be compassionate towards others. Now, I'm sure many of you will want to know how you can make a difference, so that's how I'm going to end the assembly. My biggest and best advice would be to read diverse fiction. It's the easiest, cheapest and most effective way to make a change. Whatever your favourite genre of book, make it a point to pick up a book with non-white or non-heterosexual characters. Try something that represents a different religion or cultural background from what you normally read. I've included 2 websites here that will give you plenty of ideas, but please also speak with Miss Sparrowhawk in the library for more inspiration. Thank you for listening.